Is something wrong here? I think that might be it right there. Okay, so we're gonna do like this. So that sort of thing. Sorry. I know. There we go. Ha-ha! I'm in! Okay. So, don't mind me. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. First of all, let's do this so I can see. Because I can't see anything.
What's this? What's this?
Let's also do this. Sorry, I can't seem to get the hang of this. So, just a warning. The dog is not feeling well, so I may pause the stream at some point to go make sure she's all right. That sounds weird, or it sounds cryptic, or whatever, but you know, I'm just letting you know. Anyway, now I'm like hot as shit. That's awesome. Love it. So what we did, I want to say, I don't know, last week at some point, we finished this part and then started doing the back and forth. Well, the back and forth is done still. It's around and back and forth, which was, I think, part of the confusion I had. I was like, wait a minute. This isn't back and forth. This is around. And it's like, no. It is. It is. So, yeah. The other thing is, and I didn't, it's written in the pattern. And this is why, okay, hot tip. You know, when you cook, right? When you cook, you should read over the recipe ahead of time, right? You should do that. I didn't do that. And that was a mistake. It was a giant mistake. So, what ended up happening was I made a big boo-boo. The boo box. Didn't realize it until it was far too late. And then the only way to fix it, because of the nature of it, was to just straight up go and yeah. Okay. So apparently that break I said I was going to have to take, yeah, we're taking it now, I guess. So I will be right back. This is annoying. Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry. Apparently, um, that was not a real request. Come here, give me your necklace. Thank you. We call her leash her necklace, although really her collar would be her necklace, but you know. Anyway. So, a lot of mistakes were made, and what I'm hoping is what's going to happen is in this I can fix them. So, yeah, so this is the main color on the outside. And this is the contrast color. And on the other side, it reverses, right? Oh no, reverse. On top of that, though, you work the wrong side as if it's the right side, stitch-wise, and vice versa. And that was also just really fucking me up. So we're going to hope that this can, oh my god, not be a problem. So... And technically, well, I say this is the main color. This is the color you start with. So this is technically A, and this is B. And I discovered that B is the one it showed on the outside. And so that's what is B. I didn't realize it was going to do that. Like, I didn't know which color was going to show up where. So, yeah. Well, hot tip. So... Okay. Actually, and I also put it in a lifeline, so if I do jack this up like really royally, it's fine. It's fine. I got it. We can fix. I think now that I've seen it a few times that I can manage to not do that. So, yeah. And the goal is to get through these 6 rounds, which is the foundation of switching it over. And I might do 4 more because the repeat rounds, which are the last 4 of the 6, are how you get the pattern going. And like keep going. So this is going to be pretty slow knitting actually. I do apologize for not being here earlier, by the way. For those watching a later broadcast, my schedule says I'm supposed to do project time at 7. I woke up at 7:15 today. Yes, 7:15 in the evening. I had to lay down because I could not function. I was so tired. And so that's just what we did. The level of tired I was not something I was going to fight. So, here we are. Now, here's another funny thing. I was like of the delusion that it was going to, I guess, bind off all these stitches. And that's how it was going to go flat. No, that is not. And that's probably because of the nature of brioche. So that was a fun realization. Like, what? What? Yeah. So here we are. Here we are. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Oh my gosh. It's so warm in here. And I don't have the heat on. I turned it off. So y'all wouldn't have to hear the thing. But it's like I didn't. So I've actually been trying to distract myself all day. I got a little work done. I did some laundry this morning that I've been putting off. I have to do more tomorrow, but I don't feel like walking to the laundry room in the dark right now. We're driving there. So here we are doing this. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, so the laundry will get done, but not until like significantly later in the day. And by significantly later, I mean it might get done right after my doctor's appointment. I'm just not going to do it first thing. So I'm not going to be able to do that, which is fine. I'm not really looking for this doctor's appointment. It's a necessary one. It's not a big deal. It's actually really just a checkup. I'm just not looking forward to driving literally across town. Because it used to be 15 minutes away. Now it's more like 30. Because I live on this side of town. And the location that is near here, my doctor does not come to at all. So, there we go. Which is fine. Whatever. It's a very routine thing. I'm sure I'm going to be in there much longer than I need to be. And that's it. Yeah. That is it. So I haven't talked to Bay since yesterday morning. I have a feeling that I know why. Extenuating circumstances suck. They suck. There was a tense conversation that was had. By tense, it just was not. It just was, it was a necessary conversation. It just wasn't a conversation. Whoa. I don't necessarily wanted to have. Sorry. And by wanted to have, I mean it was uncomfortable. Not I wasn't going to have this conversation. No, we were going to have this conversation. Sorry. I'm just apparently scooching things everywhere. So, now the important thing about this conversation though is, so here's the thing. This is me. This is a little bit about me. If you're at work, I'm not going to text you, right? First of all, I hate texting people, period. But if you're at work, you should be working. You shouldn't have time to text me. You should not have time to talk to me. You should be doing work. Now, right, everybody has different feelings on this. That's fine. There's no problems there. But I think to myself, you should be working. Now, where I work during the day, there are random lulls during the day. You never know when you're going to have an extended period of time where you're not really able to do stuff because you're waiting on something else, right? That's 100% a thing. Yeah. So, there's that, right? Now, a lot of work, depending on what it is like that. So that's not weird. But I do keep basically a maxim of, if you're at work, I'm not going to text you. Now, if you message me and you keep the conversation going while you're at work, I consider that is, you don't have a problem with it, and that's just what's going on. Now, the other thing about this is, aside from the fact that I hate texting, I figure that whether it's a text, whether it's an email or a message or a phone call, whatever the communication is that is not face-to-face, I figure that you're going to get back to me when you get back to me. That's it. That is it. I do not I don't freak out about not hearing from somebody like immediately. Because I don't know what you're doing, right? I don't know what you're doing. I don't need to think that you're doing like anything off color. And so I'm not going to. Now, if we're in the middle of an argument or an uncomfortable discussion, at which point, you know, uh, a prompt response is deemed necessary. Sure, I'm gonna be a little perturbed, a little peeved if you like take your sweet ass time answering me, and I'm gonna probably think that you are, in fact, avoiding me, right? Sure, and I might fucking out and say that, like. And I also acknowledge that I still don't know what you're doing. And so I'm very much so, if I say something and it's not right, fucking correct me by all means. This is like one of the instances of anybody correcting me that I'm not going to take an issue with. Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? Like if I'm jumping to a conclusion that is not accurate, well then by all means say so. Now, sure, people are going to do what they're going to do, whatever, right? Right? That's no bigs. But yeah. So there we have it. Well, we ended up having a conversation, and the responses were delayed. Again, that's normal. We're both at work. My hands are usually covered in oil and grease. I actually don't know. I know where they work though. But I know that they work with like customers, like people in front of them. So you can't be on your work. You can't be at work on your phone. Like you need to be working. And even if you're not working, you need to look like, right, the maximum is that you need to look like you're working. Otherwise, it gives like this bad impression. And Bay is the manager human, so definitely the manager that's like out in the eye, like where everybody can see you. Yeah, you definitely should not look like you're just dicking around, because that's not gonna give a good impression. Which is funny because Jackass, while they didn't dick around like where people could see them, they certainly didn't hesitate to do that, which I think is really, really funny. Really funny. So, about that. Alright, so do this. I'm gonna do this. Alright. And there's that. Okay, so there you go. So that right there, though, I think that was my last that I did. So one of the things the person says in the tutorial for this is, it's time to switch the work back and forth when both of the yarns are on the same side. As you can see, they're not coming from the same side, right? One is coming from this side, and one is coming. I know there's green in the way. It's coming from that side. Okay. Now this is okay. So I've been saying this whole time that I don't think brioche knit is hard. This right here is fucking confusing, and I get it. I mean, I certainly got it before. I certainly did. Why people were like, "Oh my fucking god, I can't even with this." Like, I get it. I find that if you take your time though, and you get like a good tutorial, like learn the stitches they're making, learn all the stitches that you're gonna have to make, and learn how to fucking correct them, you're good to go. You were so good to go. So yeah. Now, the other thing about brioche is basically the brioche stitch is worked in 2 passes. So that was like half of the row. And I have to work the other half of the row, which is not usually how knitting goes. And I think that's another point of like confusion that people have, is that they're like, wait a minute, what? Like, no, this is normal. So we're gonna do this. Okay. Anyway, so we had a tense conversation. It wasn't great. It was not great at all. And this is not the first tense conversation. And let me say this here. Again, like I said, these tense conversations, these are necessary conversations. These are not optional. These are things that need to be addressed or talked about for the health of like relating to another person, and as in the health of the relationship. Like if you avoid difficult topics, it's going to cause you problems, and you can't do that. Um, and I have dated around and been with a number of people who that's exactly how they handle difficult conversations. I've also been friends with people who do that, and those friendships don't last. Like those relationships, um, they crumble really easily. So, like if you value a relationship with someone, you need to be prepared to have difficult conversations. Have them like an adult, as in don't throw a fucking temper tantrum, don't freak out. I mean, there's a reasonable amount of freak out. This is somebody with mental health issues telling you not to freak out. I got it. I try not to freak out. Like just breathe, right? If you need some space, you physically need some space. You need some time, communicate that, take it, and then get on with the conversation, right? So we had already had a conversation like that. And what happened is there was a remark made that I didn't fucking appreciate. And I guess this is a testament to how I feel about Bay. Generally speaking, I will write you off immediately. I will not try to have a conversation with you. Now, the other thing about this is kind of two-part, right? If I don't think you're going to listen because you've communicated to me like throughout the interaction that like where you are with stuff is the only place that you could possibly be, and you're not even gonna hear what I'm saying. Oh yeah, no, we're not gonna have a conversation about that, because I'm not gonna frustrate myself unnecessarily. Like friend and I have conversations. No, they're not. I mean, no, we do have tense conversations, but we have conversations about delicate topics all the time. And friend is cisgender. Um, Friend is probably along the lines of more het than not. Um, Friend is actually exploring exactly what their identity is, in part due to conversations that we've had. And I've said, this sounds a lot like this. I'm not saying that this is what's going on with you, but if you're using this metric that doesn't fit for what and who you are, then it's gonna be ill fitting. It's gonna be like an uncomfortable shoe, right? So that conversation has come up, and like years ago, this person did not have conversations like this. Like one, they didn't have anybody who was queer and person of color who talked about this, right? Like some people don't want to talk about it. And do not think that because somebody is queer or that they're a person of color or that they are disabled or whatever marginalized group that they fit in, no, they don't owe you conversations like this. They don't need to talk to you about this. There are people who literally are educators in these fields and advocates, and that is their job, and that's the person you need to go to. You don't need to put the emotional labor on a friend of yours to educate you. Like you don't. And some people don't mind. I'm not an educator, but I will have a calm conversation with someone who is going to listen to what I have to say. I also try to, so while I don't educate, I do have an understanding of like ways to educate that are probably helpful, ways that are not so helpful. And it is not helpful to make things and people and concepts a monolith, right? Like everything is this one way. And no, that's no. So one of the things that I try to make really clear is this is me, this is how I feel, this is where I'm coming from. Not everybody who fits in this group under this label, what have you, feels this way. Speaking of label, Bay doesn't like labels, and I was very quick to say I love labels. Um, I like labels because they're a point of reference. It is a way to connect with and identify people who are similar, because if you use the same label as me, there's a really good chance that we're going to have some things in common. So it's a helpful reference point. When labels are not helpful is when you try to make them a monolith. And when those labels get like literally turned into something that they're not. That's when I have a problem with labels. Or I have a problem with labels that are not self-ascribed. Like, you don't get to come into my space and tell me who and what I am. That's a no. But if I'm telling you this is how I identify, this is how I perceive myself, yeah, no, that's my fucking business. You know, and I have every right to do that. So, like, stuff like that. So, like, friend and I have had some very like tense conversations, and some of the tense conversations have been in intensely personal, where we have literally voiced, this is an uncomfortable conversation, I don't want to be having this conversation. And in some aspects, those conversations can absolutely stop right then and there, right? Like, you don't need to push through all forms of discomfort. Like, when it involves trauma, no, if somebody says stop, like, fucking leave them alone about it, right? Like, back off. But like, tense conversations, as in this is just a difficult topic in general to talk about, like, for everybody, and it's not necessarily trauma laced, and it's something that needs to be sorted out. Yeah, we need to have this conversation. So Bay and I have already had one, and it's sorted out, and it's fine. But let me tell you, and this is actually something I haven't told Bay, because this is something I want to say in person, and a lot of the conversations we end up having are not, they're over text, so it's not even like I'm sitting there and you can see my face, you can see how fucking serious I am. And like, what I mean by this is like, I am deeply traumatized about a lot of things, and there are topics that I can talk about now that aren't gonna like bring up these feelings. And then there are things that I absolutely can't talk about. And then there's things that come and go. Like, my mother's death date was 2 days ago. I was having this was the time of our difficult conversation. Right. And I'm laughing. It was not fucking funny at the time, let me tell you. It's a sad laugh. It's like, yeah, that's not funny. Anyway, halfway through my day at work, I realized what day it was, and it just like, that was the straw. It was the last fucking straw that day, because it just. I don't have a problem with death. Some people can't handle it, and it's like just forever going to destroy them, like when that kind of thing happens. Me, I'm not that person. I can generally handle things really well. But since I've had little people, my mother's death has become harder, because she didn't get to meet her grandchildren. And I can't, it's not that I would ask my mother for like fucking parenting advice, because gotta tell you, I don't think she was great at it. She did the best she could, which is what most of us do, but there were definitely some problems. But I can't do that, even if I wanted to, which sucks. Okay, so, and this right here is where things are going to get a little dicey. So this is where we have our, so where we have our first. Actually, this is our only decrease round. This is where we have our first one. Make this little wonkadoodle. Okay, so okay. What is going on? Um, 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 um. Okay, so this is where we have the problem. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to mute this real quick. Okay, so yeah, God, I think we got it. Now I do have an option if this doesn't work out. Like if I can't get it to work, we're gonna make it work. But if I couldn't get it to work, I did consider an option. I did. Um, so, oh goodness. Um, yeah. So anyway, that day, we had a tense conversation. We had another tense conversation. And the tense conversation was completely different than the last one. Like the first tense conversation, right, was this guppy shenanigans. The first tense conversation was discussing a sensitive topic, and this is one of the this is a thing. This is a thing. So, um, I don't know, weeks and weeks and weeks ago at this point, like time isn't real, so whatever. I was having a conversation with someone younger than me. Now, as a rule, I don't date people who are younger than me because it does not work out. As a rule, I also don't date people who are my age, like literally my exact age, because that also, for whatever reason, for me, does not seem to work out. Now, at this point, I think what's a little different um, is that at the, it's, I don't know, having hit 30s, you probably had some shit happen to you at this point. And so, um, like, yeah, like you've probably had some shit happen. And so I feel like, what is going on here? Did I drop a stitch and I just didn't realize it? Okay, so this is that, this is that, this is this, this is a, I mean, this is a, like this one. What is going on here? It looks like I did drop a stitch, honestly. So this is slip on knit, slip on knit. Oh my gosh. Slip one. Knit. Okay, so we're just confused. Like something weird happened between these two needles, it looks like. Because this isn't the end of the round, so this should not be where any kind of weirdness is happening. Yeah, so it totally looks like something happened here. Okay, well, we're gonna just ignore this and just work it. No, we're not. Fuck. Okay, this is super weird. Okay, so we have to figure out what's going on here. And so I see what's happened. Like, some stuff happened that was not supposed to happen. Looks like... Okay, so it looks like something got dropped somewhere. That's probably what happened. So we're going to do this. Okay, where is our thingamabobby? It's right here. Okay, so what's happened is, let's do this. All right, so yeah, something got dropped like in 2 places, it looks like. Okay, so unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to drop. I'm gonna have to go back like more stitches than I really want to. And this is where this is gonna get in the way. Yeah, like it looks like something happened weird that wasn't supposed to happen here. Uh-oh. Oh, I see what happened. Something happened here. It was not supposed to happen. Oh, that's no good. Alright, so here we go. Well, first of all, here's one problem. This is supposed to be here. I'm gonna take that off. Okay, so maybe that was the problem. Creating. Okay, so okay, so I think what happened is something got turned around. Oh my gosh. Something got turned around and facing the wrong direction in this, and so it just yucked it up after that. Okay, so we're basically just going to pretend like this green thing is not even here. Okay, so that's that. And that is that. And I know this is like the worst. I know. Trust me, it's the worst for me too. All this is telling me is I better not fuck this up again. I have to go back and fix this. I'm gonna have problems. Okay. Okay, so let's see if that fixes that. And you know, honestly, this is the thing. If you have patience, you can manage this stuff and it's not a big deal. It's when you don't have patience and you try to... Yeah, I think that fixes it. So when you don't have patience with yourself and with like what you're working on, that you start having problems. Okay, so here we go. So yeah, no, tense conversation. I know, I haven't gotten to this damn story yet. For those of you who are new, that's exactly how my stories go. Like, I get distracted by 1,000 things and completely forget what I'm talking about. And then I end up circling back around, you know, this really meandering fashion. So we had this conversation. We were talking about something. Now, the nature of this conversation that was tense was that obviously they needed to say something, but they weren't in a position to say it in the way that they wanted to. Via time, place, and some other factors, right? So there's this illusion of, hey, we need to. There's an elephant in the room that needs to be discussed, and I'm just like, what elephant? Now, okay, everybody knows. I don't know who's ever interacted with any other person ever in their life. You do not tell somebody, we need to talk. Or I need to tell you something. I need to talk to you. that is like instant foreboding. Okay, first of all, it's also, for someone like me, extremely cruel because I already have relationship trauma. So when somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, we need to talk," my mind immediately spirals. And that is on a good day. That is if everything in my life is fine. That's never the case. Everything in my life is never fine. Now, there are definitely points in my life that are considerably more tense than others. But yeah, that is literally kind of cruel and unusual torture. Because the thing with it is I'm not trying to spiral. I don't want to spiral. My brain is spiraling because that's just what it does. And so I immediately start freaking out, wondering what's going on, wondering what I missed, beating myself up, feeling absolutely like shit. And it's a really bad time. And I do not react well to it. Um, Now, I know there's not like a good way to say it. There really isn't. And I've thought about this and I've discussed this with friends. There is not a good way to say, I need to tell you something or we need to talk about something. Because even if you're delivering good news or neutral news, it instantly sounds bad. Like instantly. And so, hot tip, don't fucking do that if you actually care about the person. If you don't care about them, go ahead and be an asshole. Who cares? But if you profess to care about someone, and you're going to do that to them. Like I had this happen to me a couple of years ago, and I don't know what the person's motivation was. I don't know whether they were telling themselves that they were preparing me mentally, but they weren't. They were actually causing like a black hole to open up and just fuck my shit up real bad. Needless to say, I didn't react to that well either. Um, and then I called them out on it, and they did not enjoy that. I don't know anybody who enjoys being called on anything. And I said, this is not cool. And like reference something that we were both like aware of. And apparently, I guess that criticism of how they decided to handle it wasn't taken well either. I can understand that. I don't take criticism well either. But it spiraled like really bad after that. Now, my suspicion is that this person had decided they just didn't want to talk to me anymore and used this as like their justification instead of just not talking to me anymore. Like that would have been a lot easier. And I guarantee you, I would have taken it completely differently. Yeah, but like there were a lot of things going on. I was under a lot of stress. And the stress, by the way, that was the beginning of the stress. The stress did not get better, like with any kind of quickness. And so, yeah, apparently we're talking about mental health today. Apparently. So just hot tip. If you know someone who is like emotionally damaged, traumatized, have mental health issues or anything like that, or just like is nervous or like a generally nervous, upset kind of person, don't do that to them. Not if you care about them. And I gotta say, if you're willing to do that to them, I don't think you care about them. And me, even if I don't care about you, I'm not trying to do that to you just because I know what that feels like. And I say try. That doesn't mean I'm perfect at it and I'm good at it. That doesn't mean I haven't done it in the past. I try not to. And sometimes I'm not good at stuff that I try to do. Like fucking everybody. Well, those are not the exact words that they used. Okay? They're not the exact words they use. But any derivation that basically communicates, hey, we need to talk, is bad. Now, here's the thing. Okay? And this is not in defense of the person who decided to, I don't know, railroad me, whatever. Because I think that it was poorly handled in every way. In every way. Hold on. But, yeah. Don't do that. Like, now, you can't, like, don't try to control the situation. And I think that was probably like the big problem here is the person tried to control a situation, instead of just dealing with how things played out. Okay, the thing with it is you don't get to call the shots about how somebody's going to take something. You don't get to call the shots about how something is going to go. You don't get to do that. You don't. You make your bed, you got to lie in it. Just fucking hands down. That's it. And my maxim is, if you want to be an asshole, like if you want to be jerk and insensitive and like not care about people and do whatever the fuck you want because that's what you want to do, I mean, that's cool, do that, but accept the consequences, right? That seems reasonable. Hold on, people, we gotta watch a video. Okay, so I think I've got it. I'm probably gonna have to watch that part again and again and again. So then we're doing the second half of this. Okay, so I think that's minus 3 stitches. I think that's minus 2, so that would be 114. Oh, anyway, yeah, don't do that to people. Just don't. Now, does that mean that there's not an easy way to like bring up a difficult conversation? Absolutely, that's exactly what that means. But it's a difficult conversation. Why do you want it to be fucking easy? It's difficult. You need to just accept that it's a difficult conversation, and that's just how it is. Like you need to. And I think I don't know. There's a vague note of control and like manipulation in trying to manage somebody else's emotions, and that's what I feel was going on, and that was a problem, which is part of also why I reacted very badly. Do not manage me. I am not a child. Now, hey, you may not want to deal with me. Okay, that's fair. Then don't. But don't try to manage me. It will not work out well for you or anybody. So, all right. Anyway, so they had something on their mind, and they wanted to talk to me about it, or they wanted to express their concern. All right. Now, long story short, we're fine. Everything's fine. They were concerned about something that is, in the grand scheme of things, a non-issue because of the kind of person I am. So there was really nothing to worry about. But let me tell you, did they give me the vapors all fucking day? Like on top of me realizing what day it was, on top of me being at work and not being able to like do things and just like worrying and freaking out, on top of me being mentally ill, we have not had that conversation yet. This was like kind of a perfect storm of things that shouldn't happen. Now, to be fair, right, part of why I'm being so understanding about this is one, this person and I have conversations. We have these difficult conversations. We respect each other enough to listen to each other and come to some consensus, whatever that may be. And being heard and communicated with is a big fucking deal. in any relationship. Like, you're not going to feel valued if it feels like the other person is never listening to you. And so that's like hands down very important. Very important. And like, I am not a relationship coach. I fuck up relationships all the time. I can't even in relationships, but I do know a lot of things you probably shouldn't fucking do. So I have either been on the receiving or the giving end of them. And there's absolutely things that can basically cause catastrophic failure when it comes to like relating to other people. So maybe do less of those things if you can manage, or get therapy. That's a good one. It's always a good one. So, now the thing with it is this is after having a period of radio silence. So I've already had a period of radio silence, which was literally last weekend. And that caused a fucking freak out spiral episode, if you will. Well, what probably in the past would have been an episode. I think I did pretty well not like losing my fucking shit. And yeah. For those who don't know, I call my borderline spirals episodes because that's kind of what the fuck it is. It's a bad episode. It's like a bad emotional trip. Anyway, so after having done with that, then we have the elephant enter. The elephant has entered the chat. It's like, fuck, really? So that's not cool at all. Now, to their credit, there are conversations that we have not had. I don't love talking about mental health when I'm not sure where a person is with it. Some people, again, are understanding and some people are not. And I'm not trying to have a conversation with someone who is going to decide that if I use the D word, depression, that they're going to dismiss me as a result. Or be like, oh, that's just in your head. Well, actually, all of reality is in your head. So let's not say we did with that. But yeah, it's just, it's a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot. And it's also, like, I told wife and I were having a conversation about this, and they were like, oh, you don't need to disclose, you don't need to have this conversation. So I'm like, the hell you don't. If you're going to deal with me in close proximity, if we're going to be intimate, if we're going to literally physically be close to each other, and like become emotionally close to each other, this stuff has got to be dealt with. That is not an option. Because what will happen is, elephant in the room, right? If you don't deal with stuff, it does not go away. You do not need to tell everybody every last damn stitch about you, right? That's not necessary. But you do need to keep people informed of things that they need to know. My mental health is kind of a need to know if you're going to deal with me. Because otherwise, I'm going to look wonkadoodle, and my responses are going to seem unreasonable. Now, but the fact that I'm mentally ill doesn't make them reasonable. It makes them understandable. And for me, they seem reasonable, even in the grand scheme of reality. It's not reasonable to be fatalistic. It is totally reasonable in the guise of someone who's traumatized to be fatalistic, because they've been traumatized. Like, what do you want? So that's really, really fucking important. It's just to be understanding of that. So yeah, so we're fine. Everything's fine. And the funny thing is, I said, like, look, like, Bay and I are not an item. We're not dating. That's not what we're going. We're just talking. But they get the placeholder of Bay because, I mean, that's where I'm at with it. That's how serious I am personally. Anyway. And I said, hey, I see that this is a concern of yours. I hear you. I understand that this is something that seems right, but I'm telling you it's not an issue for me, because I know that this is what you're fearing and what you're concerned about is not actually happening. And so it's not an issue. Which is funny because at first, like if I had not prefaced it, it would totally sound like I was invalidating, like, oh, this is not a real problem. When it wasn't a real problem, insofar as this is something that's actually happening. No, no, no. It was not actually happening. It was not a real problem. It was absolutely a real problem in that it was a valid concern for someone to have based on their perspective and what they, how they felt and what they thought was going on. Now, I've told Big this from the beginning. I'm a very chill and very reasonable person, despite being deeply mentally ill. Very, very reasonable. And yeah, sure, I have my moments of complete and utter nope. But generally, I try to be understanding. I try to pause more than not, because you don't know where somebody is coming from, and like, again, if XYZ has happened, it's not unreasonable for someone to feel or react a certain way. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's great. It doesn't mean it's helpful. But it's not unreasonable for someone to react like negatively to something that historically for them has been like really bad. Now, Bay and I have had several conversations over the course of where they have like had something that news to deliver that delivered in general would not be well received. And so their expectation was that I, like everybody before me, or like several people before me, or some people before me, was not going to take it well, which is fair. That is something that has happened to them. I've had the same things happen to me, which is why I can be understanding. Like, first of all, I'm not those people, but I'm also not going to bust your chops for referencing what's happened to you as a possible predictor of what's going to continue happening. Yes, that is a way to create self-fulfilling prophecies. No, that is not fucking helpful. But there's no logical reason for you to think something is going to be different if every single time it's been a certain way. Like, that's not reasonable. And so we need to consider this as a reality, right? So, what did I do? Oh, did I do this? I was trying to do this. Okay. So anyway, everything is fine. Everything is fine. I'm still trying not to have like freakouts, which just is driving home that we need to have this difficult conversation here sooner than later. Now, the only caveat I have, like between me and the internet, is what I don't want to do is have this conversation and say, hey, this is a factor, this is a consideration that I need you to keep in mind. And then that make them feel like they have to walk on eggshells around me, because then that's going to make them uncomfortable. And that's not going to be awesome or helpful. And it's going to cause, it potentially is going to cause a lot of problems. Now, like I said, this person has been very reasonable up to this point, and so there's no reason for me to just assume that they're not going to be okay with stuff. And I'm not gonna like try to manage, right? I'm not gonna manage them and say, oh well, I don't think you're gonna take this well, so I'm gonna control the situation. Because again, that's manipulation. That's not okay. That's not what we're doing here. Because no K, right? No K. And I get the temptation to want to do that. I really do. It's still a really bad idea, because you do not know how someone is going to react, and you're telling them that you like, I want you to react a certain way, and so I'm going to like manipulate the situation, so that's how it happens. And that's just, you can't do that and it not burn you. It's going to bite you in the ass, because it's not okay to do that to people. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna have that conversation. I'm not looking forward to it, honestly, for the obvious reasons. And that's because in the past, when I've had this conversation, which I think is a necessary conversation and a conversation that like has to be had, it doesn't bode well for me personally, because usually people get all fucking wonky tonky about it. And sure, it's a heavy subject. It's not easy, but you got to understand it's not easy for me to have this conversation either. And I don't really want to have this conversation. I just realized that I need to. That's just how it is, peeps. It's the peep season too. I don't know why people like those things. I like marshmallows. I really do. But I got to tell you, I deal without those things. So we're at an hour, by the way. What's going to happen is I'm going to finish these last 2 rounds and we're going to stop recording for right now. I might do another 4. Because that's the sequence of how you are doing it. But the general plan is to quit here soon. Okay, so okay, let's see what's going on here. All right, so what I see is that this needs to come here so it doesn't get all twisted and make it look like I dropped a stitch. Okay, there we go. And that's points for fucking taking it like slow and not trying to rush. Right? Seriously. Anyway, yeah. So whatever happened last weekend, I know what it was, by the way. I think it's what's going on this weekend. It sucks. Because I know or can guess what's happening, I'm not gonna fucking spiral quite as bad. Now the thing with it is that okay, so here's another mental health topic that we need to talk about. I am mentally ill, and I don't say that like a badge of like pride or as a pity party. It is a fucking fact. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. It's a fact. And this label, you know, helps me relate to other people, helps me understand things, help people understand me, and so it has its uses, right? It's not good or bad. It just is. Anyway, just because I'm mentally ill, just because I know that I'm mentally ill, doesn't mean that I can just willpower my way to not feeling a certain way. That is ableist as fuck. And what we're not going to do is act like that. Okay? Because that's not how that works. Like, I'm not making a conscious decision to freak out. I'm, in fact, fighting it most of the time. The reality is, all of these things, all of these actions, like whenever these things happen, and we're not going to mention like certain words because we're not, but like you can draw your own conclusions. But when people make these decisions, they usually feel like the right decision to be making. And by the right decision to be making, sometimes that means it's the only decision you feel like you can make. Now, is that ostensibly true? No, it's not. There are absolutely other decisions that you could make because there's always one decision to do something or to not do something. That's it. That one, yes or no, is the basic yes or no. There's always that option. But if something feels like it's not an option to the person who is going to make the choice, then it's not a fucking option. Okay? It's not. Like, in their reality, it is not an option. And that's it. That's just it. Like, you don't get to argue someone's perception of reality and how they experience their life because you're not them. And you need to, at best, Or at worst, you need to fucking sit down and listen. At best, you need to, listen, be compassionate, and like make an effort to understand them and give them space. We need to be doing these things. So yeah, so here we go. I see a lot of things. I don't like them happening. I don't want them to happen. And they're happening anyway. And I feel just as powerless as anybody who would witness this, which is not usually for me a thing, because I avoid people. But if anybody was witnessing like the spiral of like, oh God, I'm as uncomfortable as you are watching it. Yeah, I am as that uncomfortable, if not more, going through it. Right? Because it's like I am strapped in the driver's seat of this car, but I don't have my hands on the wheel and I can't move. But I'm like, I've got a front row seat to fucking oblivion, like heading real fast towards me. It's awful. And look, groups of people are not a monolith. There are probably some people who feel more in control than others do, but I don't. And that's part of why, like, this is such a big fucking deal. Is that I don't feel like I can do anything, which for me is a terrible feeling. Because I am a control freak, and I do, in fact, want to, like, know what's going on. Which is, and the fact that I'm a control freak, that's a funny thing about the whole issue from a few years ago. I'm a control freak, and I want things to like work out a certain way, but I am not going to sit here and try to manage you and get you to do what I want to do and react the way I want to, because you're an individual and you have a right to feel however the fuck you do. And at this point, at the time, I don't think you would have colored me happy with the person, and I wasn't. And I wasn't happy with the person. I'm still not. I just don't care now. Like, and like it's just something that happened. It's unfortunate. And at this point, I'm like, well, that was a choice that person made. You're allowed to make their own choices. And what I can do is decide how I want to react to it. And nothing more. And that's cool, right? You always have the choice of reaction, insofar as somebody is not going to make you react a certain way. Now, you may have a knee-jerk reaction to certain things, which is fair. And so it may not feel like you're making a choice, or you're making a choice you don't want to make. Again, driver's seat, fucking along for the ride kind of situation. It really sucks that I'm going to like go this whole weekend without getting a chance to talk to them. Here's the funny thing about that. So the last weekend I talked, I think I didn't get to talk to them from Friday through, I think, to Monday or Tuesday. It was Monday. I don't know. I'd have to check my messages, and I think my phone ate them. Anyway, the first message I got from them was, hey, so how mad are you? And I was like, wait a minute, what? Not mad. Like, I'm not mad. There's no reason for me to be mad. Like, I didn't know what was going on. And so I am not going to feel any kind of way when I don't know what's going on. Now, if I suspect that someone is deliberately doing something shady, sure, I'm probably going to feel some kind of way about that. But I'm still going to reserve actual judgment until I know what's going on, because that's fair and reasonable, right? And again, wonky doodle that I am, I still try to be reasonable and try to be understanding. And in the rare instances where I just absolutely miss the mark, I will 100% say, okay, that was not it was not a good way for me to handle that. I am sorry. I was mistaken. But I try not to do that, so I don't have an occasion to apologize often. Yeah. One thing I will not apologize for is I will not apologize for my fucking feelings. I will not apologize for getting upset if you do something that's fucking jacked up with difference specifically to me. I will not apologize for that. Just like you don't need to apologize for how you feel. You're a person. Fucking feel your feelings, yo. You do need to deal with the consequences of, like, acting on them and all that. But you're allowed to feel however the hell you want to feel, because to you it's valid and it makes sense, right? So yeah. I know we're super serial in today's fucking chat. Super serial. Yeah, I've been having a depressive swing lately. I am not loving it. It's actually really hard to deal with. And it's kind of amazing that I have not freaked out more. Although depression doesn't lend to freakouts. So, yeah. It's the borderline that leads to the freakouts. But they kind of like tag team me. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. I could deal without that. I gotta be honest with you. I think that's kind of like the worst. Like, y'all are jerks. So I've officially gotten farther than I did before, because now all the excess yarn that was like wrapped around the outside of this is no longer there. I haven't worked enough to see what it's doing, but it feels like it's going better than it was. The funny thing is that this particular project has been full of, oh my fucking god, are you serious? Just hilarious. Okay. So, all right. Before we move on to this, we want to try and see what's going on here. They left me in some like mad suspense and with the specific phrasing of something. And friend was like, I think since you said that you don't like suspense, like you don't like not knowing what's going on, I feel like that statement is like a deliberate way to put you in suspense. And I'm like, I mean, I could see that, but I wouldn't think about it that much. Faye has already expressed that they're not good at wording things. And so, while I'm sure if I said, hey, you know how I said I don't like suspense? Like, that's what the fuck you just did there. And could you not? I don't think there would be a problem there. Like, I think there would be, oh, wow. Yeah, no, that is like that. And so it wouldn't be an issue. Now, from a mischievous note, like, leaving you wondering, I'm a mischievous little goblin, so I can understand like the kind of pull to do that, and that doesn't really bother me. Like, as long as, like, if you're eventually going to like clarify, I mean, yeah, no. I can go along for that, right? If you're just gonna fucking basically vague book me, oh yeah, we're gonna have problems. Speaking of vague booking, I haven't Facebook friends Bay. I don't really Facebook that much anymore, so that's part of why. But we're not like anything, like I said, so there's no reason for me to worry about that at this juncture. I keep saying that we're not anything. I mean, it's funny, is in some of the conversation that we've had, like, it definitely seems like that's not the case. Like, that this is definitely is something, which is, it's fucking ironic as hell. All right, so I think I will do a couple more. I guess kind of to make up for the fact that I have not been, I've just been not doing things like hereabouts. Okay, so although I'm feeling really hangry right now, I need to like eat something here soon. It looks like. Right, so so the funny thing is, I've been thinking about this. Since Bay and I are not actually an item, like that's gonna be like, I don't know. We've both like decided to do things differently, right? Like things haven't worked how we've been doing things separately, like in the terms of how we've tried to relate to other people. So let's try something. Let's try a new tack. That's also a conversation that we need to have. Um, and okay, so here's the thing. I think, and I've been thinking about this a lot. I think part of the problems that people have as far as relationships go is they assume that there's an understanding that is not actually there, right? So like you assume that everybody's on the same page or feels the same way or has the same experience or is interpreting everything the same way. And at some point you probably learn that that is not the case, and then that causes problems because then it brings into question a lot of things that you thought were fine or were one way and you're now discovering they're another, and that can be kind of emotionally traumatizing depending on, you know, exactly what it is and how far down the rabbit hole of making that assumption you've gotten. I think in monogamous settings, that happens a lot. And in polyamorous settings, it doesn't happen a lot. Because when you're relating to multiple people, you have to manage expectations. Is not because we don't want to manage people. Is not the right way to put this, but you need to consider the fact that like other people have different experiences, have different wants and desires, and when you consider the spectrum of sexuality and romanticism as, you know, diverse and like fluid as it is, and you consider, you know, the how that plays into how you relate to someone, and you can see how it's really necessary to have these conversations and just have them directly. um and like the whole point of having these is to clear the air, right? Like let's all get on the same page. Like these conversations don't have to be scary or like upsetting or uncomfortable or anything like that. They don't have to be like that. They don't. But part of that is also in how you deal with stuff. If you avoid dealing with things because they're difficult or hard, you're going to have a lot more trouble than if you know, face things head on. Like you're probably going to have a little more like short-term discomfort, but you're going to have less long-term discomfort because you're not going to get in like freaking eyeball deep with somebody or in a situation and then learn things are not what you thought they were. So while I think that Bay and I are very pot kettle, two peas in a pod about a lot of things, we seem to be like on the same page about like how we tend to approach things. That does not mean that we don't have to have like a direct conversation about it, and that's like the plan. But that direct conversation needs to happen in a very specific context and setting, and making that setting happen is difficult. Which, not to like say too much about the situation because it's not really my shtick. I know I talk a lot, but like sensitive topics and things that aren't other people's business don't need to actually be like explicitly discussed, if discussed at all, beyond that person. But that was actually part of the tense conversation that we had, was that, hey, I have expectations of myself that I'm not living up to, and I feel bad because of it. Which is that's a you thing, right? That's you. Like um I'm not guilting them into feeling any kind of way and saying, oh, well, this keeps happening, or this always happens, or this, you know, no. Mm-mm. I'm understanding because I know there are extraneous circumstances that have to be considered, and those are going to change a lot of things. And like I said, I try to be reasonable. Also, I'm busy. Like, I am super busy. I have a lot to do, and I can't always move things around. Like, I can move things around a lot of the time, but I can't always move things around. And so that sometimes that means my availability is very strict, and there are parts of my availability that I can never move around. And so I can just do what I can, and that's it. And I know that I'm not the only one who's got those kinds of constraints. And then I also have kids. And so that's another time constraint when relating to somebody else. That's another one of those, I'm not going to be available during certain times. Just not. And got to be like, okay with that. And if you can't be, I mean, that's fine. You know, that's not for everybody. But if you can't be, you probably should not talk to me. This is not going to work out. But no, I think everything is good, which is good. And this seems to be going a lot better. I thought it was gonna go. I really want to stop and take a progress pic, but I don't, like, not right now, obviously. But I don't think it's gonna be apparent. And I think what I might do is change the frequency of the photos. Do it every 16 rows after this first 10, because that'll be 4 repeats. Or maybe I'll do it every 20 rows. Yeah, we'll do it every 20 rows. Rows. I don't know. After this initial set. Okay, so it's the last 2 stitches. All right. Okay, so that right there is the first. This is such a mess, y'all. You do not understand. It really doesn't look like anything happened. So now what I have to say is that one thing I'm noticing is, like, this looks like a thing, and this is going to have to be, we're going to have to do something about this. I don't know why it's deciding to do this, because probably I switched from, you know, going one direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to little bunny foo-foo this right there so it stays a little closer together, and I'm not pulling on it. And probably what I'm going to do is when I have whatever I have left over, I'm going to, like, just sew up that gap and just make it neater. Yeah, that sounds good, right? That sounds good. That sounds good, friends. Yeah. Speaking of friends, I think I'm going to try and give friend more space. It's also probably going to be like a way of saying, hey, look, I'm going to be less available. Which is just going to happen anyway. Bay. Okay, so... is... Alright, so now we're going to do... one more one more repeat of the decrease rounds. Okay. All right. So now I have this song that's trying to play in my head that I want to listen to, and I can't. I don't know if it's from Ashes to New or Bring Me the Horizon. Something about, can you see the writing on the wall? And again, die another day, I think. All right, so okay, so I think that was right. I'm pretty sure that was right. All right, so now, hey you, come here. So that stitch right there, and like lining them up and counting stitches, and then knowing that on the wrong side, the color B is pearls, and on the right side it's knits, and it switches for the other one. I think we're good now. So that's cool. And theoretically what's going to happen is I'm going to slowly but surely have less stitches on the needles at the very front and the very beginning, or at the very front and the very end. I think what really does the trick for me with our uncomfortable conversation that Bay and I had is that my concern was XYZ, and it wasn't a problem, and their concern was ABC, and for them it was a problem. For me, it wasn't a problem, and my concern was not like a thing. Like it wasn't something that was happening, and so I'm like, I now secure, hooray! Yeah, I'm like a little more secure because of parts of their conversation, which is funny given that it was not comfortable. But it's also like ironic how like the reason. Okay, I don't get too far into it, but the reason everybody was uncomfortable was because of like catching feels. Which is the funny part. Like, if feelings weren't caught, then nobody would have cared. No, it wouldn't have mattered. It would not have mattered. And because feelings were caught, it absolutely mattered. And that was just fucking irony. And so we're trying to do this so we don't have as much fuzzy nonsense going on here. But I'm going to mitigate it as much as we can, but there's everything is like knotted in on itself in the middle of this, which is annoying. What I'm trying to do is just drag all the stitches out, or all the yarn out that I can. So this is not a problem. Or just keep being a problem. The good news is we're almost done with this cowl now. Like we're into the bandana part, which is the almost done. So I've been watching or listening to the Magnus Chronicles. No, Magnus Archives, excuse me. I told Frosted Flakes about it. I keep meaning to tell Gumby about it. I keep forgetting. It's some spooky shit. I don't know. I don't know quite if it's up Gumby's alley, but I think he'd enjoy it because he likes spooky shit. So we get to see how little 10 rounds is. Because there's the green right there is the lifeline. It'll become very apparent how short that distance is from like where I am, like how far I got. So I think it's time to delete all my profiles though. 3 days we're gonna have been talking for a month. Technically, in 6 days we'll have been talking for 2 months, but we'll have been steadily speaking for a month. Like we came across each other in February, and like actually started really talking in March. Oh yeah, I haven't told Bay that I streamed. Like I haven't really talked about work a lot because I don't like talking about work with people who don't actually legitimately care about what I do. The reactions that people give you, right, when they actually don't fucking give a shit about what you do are really mean, and I don't like them, and I don't need to fucking invite those into my conversations. So, yeah, we have to have a lot of conversations, which is really funny. Like, we're having a lot of conversations and we're getting to know each other. And and I just keep thinking of like more things I want to say to them and talk about, which is weird actually, because I don't think that's a normal thing for me. Yeah. I like to apparently date people who don't want to have conversations. And historically speaking, that doesn't work out for me. I don't recommend, I gotta tell you. Okay. So. So I did a bunch of downloads of all of our videos so far. I need to get into a habit of doing it at a specific rate. Like not waiting until the last fucking minute to do it. And I haven't, which reminds me, speaking of last minute to do it, I have today's Patreon post. Like I recorded the video. Oh shit. Recorded the video, but I totally forgot. Okay, so this one we're gonna have to be reminded of what that looks like. All right. So we're gonna slip knit it's -1. Okay. -1. Okay, so I think what we need to do is do that. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna have to do that whole mute thing again. Sorry, peeps. Okay, so it looks like that was -2. That's also -2. So that means it's 3, 3, 3, 3. Oh. Okay. All right, so here we go. Now we get to do this one. And I think that the decrease round is the hardest one that you have to do. I think because the decreases are really specific. And it's like a double decrease, and like that. We're retying it. Be quiet. Leave me alone. I know. I think I see how I might use up all the yarn. Like I was looking at it, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to use most of this yarn because I'd done all this and like it's gonna go smaller now. But being that it's like passed twice to do one row, actually, I can see how that's probably an incorrect like idea. Like, no, you definitely are probably gonna get through all of it, or like most of it, which is great. I don't want a huge stash of like yarn that is left over. Speaking of yarn that's left over, I absolutely bought yarn. Shut your mouth. Don't tell me what to do. I was at Goodwill. I got some finds. I got some finds I'm actually gonna put up on my Patreon now that I think about it. So the good thing is, if there's a holdup, if what happened last weekend, right, is what's happening this weekend, is why I haven't heard from Bay. The weekend's over tomorrow. Small favors. They're really frustrated about the situation, which is also like part of the problem that is being had, is that hands are tied. Which their hands are tied, and I know that, and that's why I'm not worried about that aspect of the situation. Like, I'm not gonna bust your chops about stuff that you can't do anything about. That's silly. And I understand why somebody would, right? But I think if you're gonna give somebody grief about something they can't do anything about, then obviously you don't have to deal with stuff like that, and so you don't have an understanding of what that's like to like kind of be under somebody's thumb, and that's great that you don't know how that is, but that's a thing. It's totally a thing, and you should not give people grief over it. You should not. I don't know. I told a friend one day, I was like, some of the best people that I know have had really hard lives. And that's part of why they're good people. And that's not everybody. There's some people who like have a hard life and come out kind of a shitty person anyway. Because they've learned some coping mechanisms and some habits that like were the result of like maybe the situations they were in, and now like that they're not in that situation, like they're basically using those mechanisms to take advantage of people, which is not cool. But a lot of the most understanding people I know are super damaged people, and that's why they're understanding, because they've been through some shit, they've seen some shit, and they have scars whether you can see them or not, and yeah, it matters. So meanwhile, friend is like, but I want somebody who's well adjusted, and I'm like, yeah, good luck. I think if you get somebody who's like well adjusted, you've just found a fucking unicorn. Like I would kind of reconcile the fact that you might end up better off dealing with someone who's been through some shit, because that person is fucking fire tested, right? And yeah, some people can go through some shit and then still break down. But people who have never been through anything do not have a good stalwart sensibility to them. And that means if anything, like in your relationship while you're relating to them, if anything goes wrong, like there's a really good chance they're just going to look and lose their fucking needle. And that's not a good time to be finding that out. And like different people are good at different things. No, fair. Totally a thing. Yeah, no, I think a lot of the problems I've had with people, I think the last relationship, like real relationship that I was in, the person, um, the person didn't understand some of the struggles that I had gone through life, and so when they would come up or I would react a certain way, they'd be like, "Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Because that's what you have to do in the situation." And they just looked at me like, "What?" And I'm like, "Obviously, you've never been in this situation. That's great for you." And now I'm back to that situation. Dislike. Oh well. Can't be helped. So. Oh my gosh. Did I say I was hungry earlier? Because if I didn't, I am now. I don't know if I'm going to eat again. I don't want to. I'm trying to determine if I'm actually hungry or if my brain is just looking for extra stuff to do. That's a thing, people. It's totally a thing. It's weird too, but it's a thing. So we only got 2 more rounds after that, or rows after this. It feels like a round because you're going around, but you're switching. You're going around, and then going back. So it's really like a really long zigzag, right? We're gonna have to have that. We're gonna have to have an intention talk. I have some ironies I can't voice. I think it's funny though. I'm gonna have to call friend. I don't think friend's gonna be up right now. I don't know. Friend might be. Friend's like more likely to be up than wife is though. That's for damn sure. Wife turns into a pumpkin early. Wife also has to be at work tomorrow, so I gets it. I get it. I do not, but I do have to get up early. Alright. Okay, so now we got 2 more rounds. 2 more rounds. Rounds? Shit. Stop losing your pen. So now I've got that song is still trying to play in my head. I'm gonna have to make that happen after we finish this sections we're working on. Okay, so Okay, so okay, now we're getting weirdness. Oh, is that what happened? Did I take my yarn over off when I did this? I think I did. Okay, so that's probably what happened. Is the yarn over's right there, and I'm... No, that's not right. Oh no! Disaster! Okay, so I'm trying to fix this. So color A. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I just did that stitch wrong. That's all. Again, there's something to be said, people, for taking your sweet ass time when it comes to this stuff and not like rushing, because I could really jack this up if I like bulldozed my way through it. And like, I can't tell you why I'm making these particular mistakes, but they're being made, and that's cool. We'll just fix them, right? That's what you do. You just fix them. Get messy, make mistakes. Oh my god, we've got up to 2 hours. Holy crap. Wow, y'all. It's a lot. But we haven't done a really long stream in a really long time. Testament to how long this takes. And I've also paused like a little more than usual in this. I know that. Here we go. I can't wait till we actually get to steadily hang out. It's gonna be nice. I think that is gonna be like fucking nitrous to how we relate to one another. Like, in a good way. It's gonna go from, oh, that's a nice little fireplace you got there, to holy shit, that's a bonfire. But like I said, in a good way. I think the constraints are acting as like a weird buffer. Which I think is not a bad thing for them or for me, for like how I would like this to play out. Oh my goodness, look at that. So like it's kind of a blessing in disguise kind of thing, which is just funny. Even though it's like mildly annoying. So, hello, welcome. Yeah, I haven't done a long stream in a while. I know I keep gaming and doing it like when I'm really fucking tired, which is not a good time. To the last 2 stitches. This song is so creepy. I love it though. Way to do things in like the most unorthodox way. I think it's gonna be how this works out, which is really funny. Like really funny. You don't know how funny it is. I do though. Yeah, I have no idea how much of this is left. So I gotta get down to 5 stitches, and I'm taking off 4 stitches every 4 rows. So needless to say, that's gonna take a while. Pretty sure it's 4 stitches. Anyway, I'm like at 100 and something right now. So that's a lot. Which is fine. Like I said, I don't want a lot of stash. October. Oh my goodness. I'm not looking forward to this doctor's appointment in the morning. Just because I don't want to go anywhere and do anything. That's it. That's the whole reason. I had to put gas in my car to get there. Not looking forward to that. To go across town. Not looking forward to that. While I'm out though, because I'm gonna be out, I'm gonna be like grocery shopping and like going to drop off my recycling and like do all the things. Probably stop by my fucking storage unit tomorrow and get some stuff out of my car. Yeah, I'm gonna do all the things. Okay, so now, right, we have to get this found. Progress. So this is the last round. This is the last round. Oopsie. Sorry, y'all. Oopsie. 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 I'm going to see my doctor's nurse tomorrow. I think her name is Tammy. I've seen her forever. And she's going to be like, oh my god, how are you? I'm like, oh my god. I'm alright. How are you? I've had this doctor, the same doctor for 10 years? No, yeah, 11 years. Since 2009, actually. Feels like a lot. So, hello? I can't believe I've had a doctor that long. That's weird. I don't see this doctor, but like every so often though. While I used to work in medicine, I try not to get sick if I can help it. And I'm pretty good at not getting sick. That's that fucking hermit life for you. You're not around people. It's really easy to not get the diseases. I mean, it's worked for me anyway. I really wish that this, like, 10 rounds looked like more than it does. Like, this is the 10th round I'm working on. Row. Whatever I'm working on. And it looks like it's not even an inch. Like, what? What? It's weird. So weird. I kind of want to watch Wonder Woman 84 again. But fucking Bad Barbara. I think Pedro Pascal did a good job as a bad guy, though. He was also in The Kingsman. Was it the... I don't know what the subtext or the subtitle for the one that's set with them going over to the United States. But he plays an awesome character who his primary weapon of choice is a fucking lasso. Do you know how awesome that is? It's super awesome. Also, fucking Wonder Woman. Now, I might need to watch the original Wonder Woman. Okay. Speaking of Wonder Woman 84, Kristen Wiig is Bad Barbara, basically. I gotta tell you, when I heard that Kristen Wiig was gonna be one of the antagonists, in the movie, I was just like, she is goofy, doofy, silly, funny. I can't take her seriously as a bad guy. That's kind of like me trying to take Amy Poehler as a villain. Like, I can't see it. No, she did a really good job. Like, when you can't see how someone could possibly do a role and they fucking nail it, that's awesome. Um, I used to like people like, oh, it's such good acting, and I like was like, what? Like, I don't get it. What? I'm a little dense sometimes, and I think I had somebody explain it to me basically as if you like you like the person in general, and they can make you hate them by way of like their portrayal. It's good acting. Like you whatever like I guess whatever feeling you're supposed to like that is desired for you to feel with relation to that character. If they can elicit that with their acting, then they're doing a good job. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot more fucking sense. Now I will say that there's probably some that people would call bad acting, but I think that they're nailing the portrayal. But like the character that they're playing just kind of sucks. Cue Bella Swan from Twilight. I think Kristen Stewart did a great job being a fucking teenage girl. Like, in love with someone who was just, yeah, not great. And, like, then taking on some. She did, yeah. Like, I remember being a teenage girl enough to recognize some of those traits in my peers and probably things that I did. So, yeah. Even though this like awful and it's not something to romanticize. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's exactly how teenage girls are. At least they were when I was growing up. So, yeah. Woo. I can't believe we're going to be to the month anniversary soon. Talking to Bay, that's weird. It's been a month already. That's weird. I think I can hear the eyes rolling when I bring it up. I'll let y'all know. I'm fucking sentimental like that. Deal with it. I don't care. I have been low key making note of when I start talking to people um, to like immortalize things because there's a couple times when I've gotten to a relationship with someone and like I really wish I knew like when exactly we started talking and all that and like how long it had been, and I realized I had no fucking clue. And so if I think you've got potential, I'll like make a little mental note, and by mental note I mean I will write that shit down on a goddamn post-it and screenshot it. Like whatever. Oh my gosh. Okay. Because I fucking forget stuff or I confuse things. Or like I'll get in the ballpark, but I can't remember the exact date, and I'm inattentive enough that I want the exact date. The exact date was 2/16. The second one was 3/13. Uh, so it really doesn't feel like I did anything. I'm gonna be honest with you. It really doesn't. Like I know I did stuff. I know I like this purpose of the lifeline actually is like illustrating. Hey, look, you got this far. Right? Here's a noticeable like. Oh shit. Okay, so we did that. What is going on? Okay, so slip. Okay. All right, there we go. All right. So now we know that it's time to do all the things with the switching and the switching and the switching. All right, yeah, this is a little dicey because there's like, I know there's a lot of strings right here. This is why we made sure that was that fucking bright ass color, so that I wouldn't get them fucking confused. Because that's the last thing I needed, was to like. Sorry, we were trying to make sure it's neat and nice and not coming apart, but not like also not getting in the way. Okay, so. Oh, I think it's called Kingsman's Secret Service. That's what it is. Because the Secret Service is like an American thing. Americans. Okay, so I pulled that a little taut. But you can see, like, that's like barely an inch. I don't even know that it's an inch. It might be 3/4 of an inch, to be honest with you. It doesn't look like a lot of anything. Here we are. Here we are, people. Alright. So, I want to say thanks for dropping in. Thanks for lurking. Hi, hello, how do you do? I'm actually cutting out because I want to take a picture of this, and I'm going to have to do it in the daylight, and I'm going to have to do it tomorrow morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop working. And then the next time I work on this, which should be tomorrow, I'm going to be working on it for 20 rounds. So instead of this nonsense, we're going to have like that nonsense. So, if you are not already following me, I invite you to follow me so that you can see what I'm doing stuff when I'm doing it. If you would like to join me on weird rambling talks about relationships, mental health, silly fucking bullshit that happens at my job because I have a day job, and all that jazz. And yeah, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye. And I will catch y'all all hopefully bright-eyed and bushy till tomorrow. Toodles.